first of all, I just want to welcome you, and this is really, really exciting, man. I've been talking about this for a while, and people around here have heard me talking about it. Like, I'm nervous right now. Like, I'm just like, I'm interviewing you, but I feel like I'm interviewing a celebrity, but I'm interviewing my favorite celebrity. So, it's just super exciting for me to be here and for us to be able to talk and kind of just reminisce and then, add to what's going on in the world as far as advice to these young kids that are coming up wanting to be athletes, wanting to do what you did, want to do the exact same thing you did. So, I just guess I want to just get started with like your young days in football. And I guess my first question to you is, when you started playing football, because I remember was it because Deuce wanted to play football, or was it because I wanted you to play football?
Every time, this is funny. So every time I get interviewed, that's like the first question that gets asked is like, "Oh, did your dad make you?" But I don't really feel like I was forced to. I've always liked football. It's always been something I like enjoyed doing. Yeah. So I never felt forced into it.
Okay. All right. Well,
even like playing D-line, when I first started, I was a linebacker, and you needed a D-lineman, and then I was like, I'll do it. It wasn't like you were like, come play D-line. I was like, oh, I'll play D-line, sure.
That's crazy because that's first grade. You remember all the way back to first grade.
Yeah.
Because I remember that because I had you at linebacker because I refused to have you at defensive line because I was like, where do you go from there?
Right.
I was like, he's not a DB. I don't know anything about being a DB, so I'm not going to do that. So I was like, I know linebacker, so let me put him at linebacker. And then when we needed D-line, I was like, oh, once he got there. But once you went to D-line, which is funny because once you went there, it was like a fish to water. And I was just like, well, maybe he wants to play other position. And I just remember people always being like, well, you should put him somewhere else. He's too small. So, that's real good to know that, all that. You didn't feel the pressure to have to play the same position that I played. So, like, what was young football like? Like, if you were talking to kids and you want to tell them, hey, when I started out, this is what it's like, because you are that guy now. Like, you're talking to these young kids.
I know, that's crazy. Like, especially when I went back to Hamilton, that was crazy talking to them. I felt like old, but like.
You are old.
I know I'm about to turn 20, but yeah, I don't know, young football, like youth football is just fun. Like, they should just go out there and have fun. Like, they don't got to worry about coverages and worry about scheme, watching film. They don't got to worry about a double swipe. They don't worry about that. Just go out and have fun. Like, just play what you want to play, have fun. Just do what you want to do. It's fun. Yeah. It's youth football.
But is it, though? Because, I mean, I'm going to just tell you from my perspective, me being dad, and I'm like, this is my kid, and this is my position. I want him to know what he's doing, and I'm pushing, and I'm grinding. Right. And there were times where I'm like, man, he's only like 6 years old. He's only 7 years old. Like, are you expecting too much? Are you trying too hard? So, what was that like? Like, I feel like sometimes I push too hard. Sometimes I didn't push enough. Like, when you're only 6, 7 years old and your dad's like pass rush, rip move, swim move, like what's that like for you?
Oh, man. To be honest, there were some practices where I just blatantly did not like you. Yeah, it was, at times it was like definitely a love-hate relationship, but it definitely paid off because I feel like that hard work and that work ethic that you pushed on me at a young age, it kind of carried over to other things, like with school, with football now, with my things I want to do, like my own passions, my own hobbies. It kind of carries over into that too. So I think it helped, but like me being in it, at the time I didn't see like, oh, it's gonna help me. I was like, he's just doing the most. Like, yeah. I hate it. Like, if I could swing, I would. Like,
so. No, I get that but it's totally different. Like the upbringing. Your young upbringing, my upbringing, I didn't play football until 8th grade. I played I didn't play football. I played basketball. I did a little bit of baseball. I did soccer. My mom was just like, no, you're not playing football. You're going to get hurt. And that was the end of it. There was no, well, Mom, I want to do this. I want to do that. So it was like, you can do all these other things, but football is a no-no. And finally, when I got to 9th grade, which was junior high for us, I know that sounds weird considering that,
yeah, it's high school.
That's high school here.
Hey, you're a freshman in high school out here.
No, I'm still in junior high. I was a big dog in junior high. And I started playing in 9th grade, and I love it. And it was kind of like you being young. You took to it like a fish to water. And it's like I took to it as soon as I got out there. I was like, oh, my God, I love this. But I remember we were doing this hitting drill, and I wanted to show off how tough I was. Oh, God. And I got ran over. And that was like the first time my mom really saw me get hit. and she ran out on the field and was just like,
she ran out on the
yeah,
field.
yeah, she ran out on the field during practice. I was embarrassed. So you're lucky, man, because I was always that buffer between you and your mom because she'd be ready to swing on people in the stands. So, like, what are your best fond or your most fond memories when you were young, man? Like from football, and you played basketball, and you did track. You did so many sports when you were young before you ever even got to high school. Like, what were sports that you wanted to play? What are some things that you really enjoyed just as much, if not more, than football?
Definitely karate. That was like, yeah, like that was really fun. Like one of my most fond memories, like in general, is the black belt ceremony and having to carry the candles and going in the room and doing like that. That was fun. Like just punching. I know it sounds weird, but just punching on people, kicking people, like controlled violence like that is just fun. That's all football is, just controlled violence.
Absolutely.
And it's just another way to do it. So it was fun. Yeah.
So, okay, now I'm going to tell you a part of that story you may not remember. You know that was your second ceremony, right?
My second?
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna almost cry, man, because you're going to draw emotions out of me. So we're still trying to talk about youth football, but the first time you went for your black belt, you had to break the board, and you didn't break it. Like, you hit it, and your sensei just looked at you like, oh, no, Deuce, like, you got to break it. And I'm in the stands, and I'm looking like, oh, no, you got to break it. And you didn't make it. And so, man, I was like, I almost cried. Like, I was just like, I wanted to run out there and break it. So I'm so glad you remember the success and not the failure, because when you broke it that second time, you hit it with such violence and controlled rage that it was almost like, I'm like, does he even remember what that was like? So that's great. But you know what else I like when you were young is, and I know you're probably not going to talk about this, you might not even want to bring it up, is you did so much other stuff. You played in a band, you played the violin, the cello.
I was a killer on the, what was it, the bass, the big
old bass. Yeah, I'm sorry, I said the cello. You were on the bass. Yeah.
On the bass, yeah.
So you make it seem like it was just always football, and then you did acting. Remember when Morgan was dancing at Dance Studio 111? So talk about that. So elaborate more on what it's like to do other sports, and is it a good thing, a bad thing? You think it's too much? Can kids do too much?
I really don't feel like young kids can do too much, because young kids have a different level of energy, and I honestly don't regret doing as many things I did. Like, it's fun. Like, get to be the Munchkin King in front of a bunch of people, get a mic. Like, that's so fun to do. Going to play basketball at the I-9 and just running the basket and throwing up webs, that's fun to do. Like, I don't think a kid can do, I mean, obviously they can do too much, but you should just let it. If a kid wants to play football and basketball, why not let him? You know, if he wants to swim and do karate, why not let him? You know, like, let him discover what he wants to do, because eventually he'll narrow it down. Because I went from all these things to, you know, to football, baseball, then to football, basketball, then just football. So I eventually it's going to narrow itself down. But to just like put a kid on one path and be like, go, like, I don't think that's good.
Yeah,
so I think you should always keep it open, always give them the option of choice.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Now, I'm going to ask you a question that I hear, like, on social media or even when reporters talk to you. No, I thought you were laughing at me. I'm like, I'm not on there like that. But the Super Bowl, like, people ask you about the Super Bowl. Like, you genuinely don't remember anything about the Super Bowl?
That was, 2008? So I would have been maybe 5.
You don't remember anything?
Anything, no.
I hear you say that, and I'm like, oh, my God, I remember when, and I was holding you, and you went out there with the trophies, and I'm like 5 years old. I'm like, wow, you were in the middle of the Super Bowl, and you don't even remember it.
No memories of it. Crazy.
Oh, man,
people always ask me, they're like, so you've touched the Lombardi Trophy? I'm like, maybe. I don't know.
So you don't remember how badass I was and how I would have kicked your ass then. So I'm going to have to pull up some film and
here we go with this again.
Show you.
You know who makes the play? It's Russell Davis right here, the tilt nose guard. Pittman has to cut it back because of Davis's penetration.
But no, for real, no. I mean, I'm glad you're on here, and I'm glad we're able to have this, because, you know, this is like really cool. Like, especially, you know, 2 years from now, is that what I keep saying? When you're a top 5 pick, we can go back and pull this up and be like, remember when we had this conversation? So that's like super cool. But I do want to go and I want to move into high school a little bit, because for me, high school was just that time when I really started to see you develop. And I have a lot of pictures too, by the way. I mean, to let you know, you won't see them now, but with the finished product, it's going to be some great pictures. Like when you first reported to Hamilton, you were like a $150. I mean, that picture you had on 99.
$150, you being nice. You being real. I was like $140, you being nice.
So like when you left junior high and, Pop Warner football, and now you're going to Hamilton, you're playing the Chandlers, the Perrys, the Desert Vistas. Like, what was that first training camp like? What was that first day of school like, being in that hallway with all those kids? Because, I mean, that's just overwhelming to me. So just really help me and take us through what's that like, the first day as a football player, being in classes, your first practice. What was that like for you?
So the way they have it set up in Hamilton, they kind of have the freshmen pushed off in their own little building. So like pretty much all the freshman classes are in there. So for the first, like, when you first get there, it's not that bad because a lot of people and these are other ninth graders. So it's not like a bunch of big seniors walking around. So it wasn't that bad at first, but I had a Spanish class in like the normal building, and I walked over there and I just was like intimidated and scared because everybody, I swear to God, everyone was like 6'5", 250. Like I didn't know where I was going. I kept asking for help. People kept ignoring me. Everyone was walking fast, like, and then the hallways are crowded. I'm trying to squeeze through. Like, it's scary. And then the scariest part for me was like the workload. Like I expected like a large workload, and like I gotta write essays every week, and I gotta do like 100 question quizzes every week. But it wasn't really like that. So it wasn't bad the first day.
No, see, I would have freaked out. My school, I don't even think it was 3,500 kids, maybe 2,500. So, and you're 10th grade, so you're a little bit older. So it's just like when I saw Hamilton for the first time, and I mean, obviously, with Morgan, being there and your sister, I got used to it. But as a freshman coming in, that seems like that would be so intimidating. And so, people who are listening, that's good for them to hear that, and for parents to hear that. Dude, I was intimidated. I was scared. It's a ton of people. So when your kid comes home or you pick them up and they look like a deer in the headlights, it's okay to talk to them and say, man, you okay? Because they're scared. Like,
it's just a normal,
It's normal. It's normal to be that way. But, a lot of kids won't say that. So I think that's why I really have been looking forward to this conversation, is because it's things that I know you wouldn't have talked about then that you could talk about now, because like I'm past that. I'm bigger and more mature now. So it's you don't mind admitting that, I was afraid. Like that was terrified, overwhelming. Yeah. So what was practice like? So was it faster, slower, what you thought it was gonna be? So that first freshman practice, 6 a.m. you guys were out there?
Well, you gotta remember we had the training camp before that. So we'd already been practicing, but the first day of school was the first day of pads. And this is before the AIA got rid of the Oklahoma drill. So
you don't really know what that's about. You're talking about the Oklahoma drill, but you don't get it.
The first day of pads was real scary, like, because I'd been going against these kids, but they're from different. First time hitting in high school, so I didn't really know what to expect. Scared, and then the first thing we stretched, the first thing opened up with the Oklahoma drill. And they put me I was playing O-line 2 at a time, so I was just terrified, and I got laid out first play. Cause I literally got out of my stance, just kind of furrows because I know what to do, and got laid out. Got the running back hit. It was rough. But
but that's good though, because once again, if you hear that as a student, you hear that as a freshman, you hear that as a parent, it's okay. Here's a young man. His father played football. You would think he's going to hit the ground running, like he's going to do everything right. He's going to do everything perfect. And the first day you put on pads, you get smoked.
I also feel like you can't prepare for that stuff. Like you can't prepare for that. Like you just can't prepare.
Prepare for what?
Like that next level of hitting, that next level of just like you can't you can train and lift all you want, but when the pads come on, it's different.
That's the that's the great equalizer.
It's the great equalizer.
You can be big, strong, whatever you want, but when you put those pads on, you can't avoid that contact. You got to go through it.
You can run a 4 flat 40, but let a safety come across the middle,
Yeah, you got, and that's the big thing about football, and that's where you start to find out as these kids get older. Do they really want to play football? Because every year there's an attrition rate. There's people who aren't going to make it. It's going to be too physical. It's going to hurt. Because I remember coming from 9th grade going to 10th grade, and I know you've heard this story, but I'm going to tell it for those who haven't heard it. I made a really bad decision going from 9th grade to 10th grade. I was on military base, and I should have called in and checked in with my mom and told her, hey, listen, we got football coming up. But I chose to tell a little bit of a lie. Well, it wasn't a little bit of lies. Either you're lying or you're not.
Yeah.
It was a complete lie. And I chose to go to King's Dominion, which is like a little small amusement park. And I went there instead of being at two-a-days. I thought that was more important. I thought I'd have more fun. And I came back, and they put me on JV, and I was miserable. I was so mad at my coach. I blamed everybody but myself. Like, it was everybody's fault. Well, you should have known, and I'm good, and I shouldn't. Doesn't matter. You weren't here. So, you know, it's always good to hear about people when they have problems and they fall short, because everybody thinks it's so easy, you know. And for you had ninth grade. You know, you're a freshman football player. You know, JV. Now it's, okay, yo, you're going to play varsity. We're going to put you on varsity. And no, we're not. So they build you up and they tell you all these stories. So, yeah,
That
obviously
one,
you have, Go ahead.
That one
ahead,
hurt.
talk.
Yeah, that hurt. So they put me in a 0 hour, which is like, you got to get there like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something, do all this running condition. I'm thinking I'm going to be on varsity. I'm getting varsity reps. And like, oh, yeah, and by the way, you're on JV. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm on JV.
Like, I thought I was better than that.
Like, I was,
you know,
like,
you're
really
building me up, and that's good. I'm glad we're able to share that, because people always think it's so much easier for you and I. They think it's, oh, well, your dad played football, so you get an easy route. And it's like, no, he gets jerked around like everybody else.
But I feel like people kind of look down on JV like it's so bad. Like, people need, like, I needed that. Like, I was not ready to play varsity my sophomore year. So, like, as much as I'm sitting here like, oh, I was mad, like, it was for the better. I can admit it was for the better. I needed that. I needed that year, and it really did help me. So I feel like it was a good thing.
No, it is. I think a little bit of adversity is always going to be good. You're always going to find out who you really are, and that's when you find out who you are, when you fall down and people are like, well, I know you wanted this, but I'm going to give you this.
Right.
So are you going to then say, well, I don't want to be here anymore, and I'm not, throw a fit, or are you going to work hard? Because it's real easy to just fold up your tent and leave. So, I know how that was for you, because I was there along the way. And now this is to kind of backtrack a little bit, because I wanted to ask you about this. When did you I remember, I think I remember when you started working out, and you knew that I needed more than what I was getting at school. And not that you were knocking school, but you knew that you needed more than what you were getting. Like, when did that set in for you? Like, what made you realize that I need to do more?
I want to say, when was that? Probably sophomore year?
I think that's what I was thinking too.
Year,
yeah.
When I got put on JV was I need to do more. Like, I'm not ready, so I need to get ready. And clearly, no knock to Hamilton, because like, it's a high school, you can only do so much.
No, exactly. I mean, you have to do extra, and that's a good way to kind of go into a great point. Is you have to do extra. If you think what you're doing now is enough,
it's never
you're
enough.
Crazy. So
it's never the way you should think about it is it's never enough. There is no enough. You should always be trying to get better, always trying to push yourself. Like, I feel like we had a good strength program. We had a good strength coach. I feel like that, and I feel like it definitely got me stronger. But if I would have just did that, I wouldn't be where I am today, I don't think.
Yeah. No, I remember, because we would go over to the gym, and there were exercises. I remember going through this with you, and I'm like, you got to pick it up. Come on, you're not doing this. And I remember when you first started out pushing a sled, it was just a bare bones sled, like, which probably weighs like maybe 100 pounds or whatever it weighs. Yeah, you couldn't move it, and it was just watching you grow and develop. But there was always a thing with me, because I had been there, and I knew that size was overrated. Like, you needed to be quick, you needed to be explosive. So now, this is a sensitive subject for both of us. Junior year.
Ooh, junior year.
You're coming in, and obviously we have this influx of kids who come in, and you've been at Hamilton for 2 years, and you're thinking like, okay, I'm about to be on varsity. I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to get first right of refusal. I've been here. I've done everything you've asked me to do. And boom, you find out, here comes 10 new kids to play defensive line, and you're third string. Like, how did you take that when you first realized, like, I went from maybe being a starter to not getting on the field at all?
I was just mad. I was just like mad that, like, I was mad at the kids. I was mad, obviously I'm mad that I got my spot taken like that. But I was kind of mad at myself, because at the end of the day, like, you can have 20 D-line transfers come in, but if I'm clearly the better player, I'm going to play. Yeah. And I wasn't clearly the better player at the time, so I was mad just kind of mainly on myself, and I feel like I needed to do more when it happened. Like, it really was like a wake-up call, like, you need to, like, step it up and really need to do more.
For me, I remember because it was during COVID, and I remember coming out there, and it was that early morning practices, and you know me, I'm always going to look out for you. I'm always just like, what's that? Something's not right. And I remember talking to you about it, and you were kind of like, no, you know, got your head in the clouds, like, no, it's fine. I'm going to be starting. And I think when you really started to realize it, like you said, you got angry, and it was just like this real, like, okay, all right, so I'm not the best. I'm going to show you why I'm the best. So, you know, but that's good, and I think that more kids need to experience that. I think that when you're always the number one guy, you always have it easy. Everything's always going your way. I worry about those kids because they don't
ever have to work because everything handed to them. They're always like, oh, you're just that guy. Here you go, here you go, here you go. And I feel like, and there are people who are like that still work hard. Like I'll give an example. Like one of my teammate, T-Mac.
Yeah.
Naturally is probably the best. His hands are like this big. Like, he's a freak athlete, got a 40-inch vertical. But on top of that, he is a crazy hard worker.
So hold on, you said T-Mac. So for all those out there that don't know who T-Mac is.
Yeah, my fault. He's number 4. He's a receiver on U of A. His real name is I can't really pronounce it. So
don't try to. But yeah. I was gonna try. It's like it's so tempting to want to try it, but it's
I don't want to mess
like,
it up.
It's almost disrespectful if you don't do it the right way. But so, you know, when you realized it, and I think me telling you, it was kind of like, all right, Dad, I hear you. Yeah, you've been there, football, whatever. You know everything. Right. And I think for you seeing it, it was just like, oh wow, okay.
It was kind of like a punch in the face, like, wow, like y'all think I'm third, like y'all don't even want me playing, like that's crazy. Like
they wouldn't even give you a chance, you know. And so I tell that story not to shed any bad light on Hamilton, but just to let parents, kids know that things aren't going to always go your way. Don't just because it doesn't go your way doesn't mean, well, I quit. I'm done. It's over with. Because I remember the first scrimmage that you had, and I wish I could remember the name of the team, but
Queen Creek.
Was it Queen Creek? Yeah. And I remember being in the stands, and I'm watching, and, you know, the first team goes, second team goes. So, I'm feeling your energy. I'm sure you're feeling me coming from the stands. But I remember saying to you, like, hey, man, you were standing like I could feel it coming off of you, just like, I'm so mad. And I was like, hey, wait till you get in the game. And I don't know if you heard me yell that from the stands. I'm like, your body language is saying a lot right now. And you were just kind of like, okay. And then you got in there, and you went off, and I think you had 2-3 sacks, and so you started showing people like, hey, I can play ball. And I think that's a big component in what kids aren't allowed to do. It's just like things get tough, and it's like, well, I want to leave. I want to go do this. It's the coach's fault. You're not doing enough. Well, maybe you're not doing enough.
It's always someone else's problem. It's always, they're not training me hard enough, or it's just that, like, maybe it's you. Maybe you need to work harder. Maybe you need to look at yourself in the mirror and go, what am I not doing?
Right.
Do I need to do better?
Exactly.
Do I need to put on weight? Do I need to get faster and get stronger? Look at yourself before you start pointing fingers.
Yeah. I mean, because it's very easy to do that because, well, the coach doesn't know what he's doing, and, especially when you play the game and you have a father who played the game, people always, well, you think you know everything. It's not that I know everything, but I know what you're doing is wrong.
Right.
And I know there's a better way to go about it. So you always have to be careful when that happens. So now, the exciting part. Not exciting, but the very first game was Centennial.
Oh, God.
And I'm going to set the stage. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for all these people listening to us. So we're playing Centennial, and this is his junior year.
Oh, wait, there's some – let me tell this part.
Okay, go ahead. You probably tell it better.
So we're playing Centennial. It's the first game, and they don't tell us beforehand who's going to start. They don't say anything about who's going to start. Like, we get a pregame, we don't know who's starting. We get in the sideline, we don't know who's starting. Kickoff, I want to say we got ball first. We don't know who's starting. Defense goes out. He's like, it was me, it was Eli, and it was Grant, I think we're starting. We found out right before we went out. So I was like, I'm starting what? Like, I went from third string to starting in like a few days, basically, but I didn't know that. Nervous, terrified, didn't know what to do. get out there first play, I go, and I get driven back. Like
yes,
20
yes, that's
yards.
exactly. Yeah, I think 20 yards might be.
Like the camera is up in the stand, so it has the wide angle, and I get driven out the camera like first play.
I know. I saw that, and I remember watching film that night and being like, "Oh Jesus, is this boy really cut out for football?" Like I was like, he's not going to make it. Maybe he's too small. Maybe we. I mean, I started to doubt whether or not you were ready to play because it was
I was down there too. And then the second play was no better. Second play, I got through. Like I was like, I'm gonna come on fast. Came on fast, but then he grabbed me, got driven out to play again. But this time in the backfield, out the camera again.
And that's really bad. So once again, though, but these are the stories that help people understand, like, it's okay to have failures.
Yeah,
because you're going to have a whole lot of failures. It's how you bounce back from that. So how did you bounce back from that? So when you're watching film the next day, I can only imagine how this meeting is going.
I was just embarrassed because we shut them out. It was 42-0.
Yeah.
Everyone else had a good game but me. And I was just like on film, first play.
And you were starting.
I was starting. So this is the first play on defense, the first play you watch on film. And they're just rewinding it. Talk about what is this? What kind of effort you're this little, blah, 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 going in. I'm just sitting there like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Like, maybe this isn't for me. Like,
and I know how you hate being called little, too. That's
like
such a pet peeve.
That really, like, made me mad. I'm just like, man, maybe this isn't, like. And then it went from, like, just, like, to just, like, anger. Like, nah, like, screw that. Like,
yeah.
It was, like, my first game, like, I was like, screw that. Like, give me some time to adjust. Like, come on, man. Like, I just got here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was.
I remember that game, too, because it was during the COVID, and I was on the chain crew because they were talking about not letting the parents in the stands. And I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to see my kid play. Like, I've been waiting over this. I worked the chain crew, and I remember seeing that from the sideline, and I was like, oh, God. I was like, oh, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. And then what was it? Desert Vista. It was the next game.
Perry was in that game.
Oh, Perry. It was Perry, yes.
I didn't start that game either.
Oh, you should have after
I was
that
like
performance.
third string. It was senior night too, so the seniors went in, and then the second team went in, and then the dude in front of me got hurt, and Coach Barrett was like, "All right, Davis, get in." All right, because I mean, after that game, I don't even blame him.
I don't blame him either. Yeah, you can't be mad about that. Like, I don't trust you. Like,
but I was like furious. I was like on the sideline. I'm sure you can see it on film. I'm just like baking. I'm mad, like just angry. Get in, first play, boom, TFL.
Yeah.
Second play, boom, TFL. Third play, pressure. I'm like, yeah. I get up. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I remember too, because you chased the guy down and you were like, and you got him and you jumped up. You were like, ankle biter. And I heard you yelling to the sideline, and I'm like, okay, starting to feel itself a little bit.
And it was definitely during that game that I realized, like, I can do this. Like, it's not like this is something that I can do. Like, this isn't something that's like too hard for me. I just gotta make sure that I'm playing at my hardest and I'm not letting, like, what really separated that game from Centennial was I wasn't worried about the crowd. I wasn't worried about people around me. I was worried about the man in front of me and what I needed to do. Yeah. And once I realized and locked in on that, it was like a whole different. I realized how not hard it was. You know?
That's football, though. I mean, each level you go to, and clearly, you know, now the level that you're at now, you understand the crowd and how it can be a factor. But, you know, I've had that question when I play, you know, in the pros and with the Super Bowl, and it's like, the crowd is there, but you don't really hear it. You know, I'm focused on what's in front of me. I'm focused on my job at hand. So now we're gonna bring up, we're gonna fast forward a little bit. Now you're feeling good, you know, and I'm gonna be an old man trying to be cool. You got your swag now.
Got my swag.
Yeah, you got your swag coming into Saguaro. So, like, what was that like playing on ESPN in high school for the first time? Like, to me, that was just amazing coming into that game. I'm like, these kids are playing on ESPN. Like, I didn't play on ESPN until I was in college. So,
okay, I'm gonna be honest. I've never told anybody this. So before the game on the bus, the whole bus ride, I was thinking like, I don't know if I can start. Like, I don't know if the starting is for me. Like, I'm like, I was gonna tell Coach Barrett like, yeah, don't start me. Like, I'll play, just don't start me. Like, I was so scared. I was like, I'm on ESPN. Like, I'm on the bus. Like, I'm like on the outside.
Panic attack. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to play on ESPN. Like, I don't even know what to do. Like if like all these college coaches are watching, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And you get in the field, you get in the game. Forgot I was on ESPN. Like, forgot about the cameras. Forgot about it was just another game against other people. Afterwards, obviously you remember it, but like in the game, it's like Forgot there were cameras. Like,
Yeah, and that's
football.
funny. That's funny because it's still football. Like, people want to understand, like, how do you block out 100,000 people? How do you block out the fear of knowing that there's cameras watching everything you do, but you're so locked in that it doesn't really matter. And so, what was your best game or your most memorable game or favorite game from that season? Because, I mean, that was your first year starting on varsity. I mean, 13 and a half sacks. I mean, you had a great year. It was in a shortened year because of COVID. There's a game that I remember that was really, that was personal to me. But, like, from that season, what was a game that you just felt like, I've arrived and, this is it?
Ooh. I'm gonna go with Saguaro because Saguaro had like a really top ranked tackle that I was going against most of the game.
Yeah.
And then that game, because that's also why that's also why I was scared, because this man is like 6'6", 3-something, All-American, 5-star. Like, I was terrified. Like,
I didn't know that. Like, that.
Yeah,
This is like a revelation right now. It's like
scared,
this light bulb just went off.
Like
really? You played like you just like, dude, I got this.
I was terrified. Like, are you kidding me? And they had Parker too at guard. They had him on the same side. I was scared out of my mind.
Parker Brailsford.
He's at UW now.
Yeah, he's at UW. Yeah. He played with us youth football. So shout out to Parker Barrett.
Shout out to Parker.
I said Parker Barrett. Brailsford. I'm sorry about that.
But yeah, that was probably the game I felt like I got there, because it was like, I don't know, like, I just blocked out everything and was just kind of like, man, like, it's just like, he's a top-ranked tackle, but he's another high school tackle. Yeah, he's a top-ranked guard. He's another high school guard. Like, it's just football.
It's just football. And that's great, because that's hard to get to that point to where it's just football. It's just me against him, my technique against his technique. And so to get there at such an early point in the season and to be able to play with that confidence, I mean, that's awesome, because for me, high school was like, I played offensive line, defensive line, and I know, I went to a Power 5 school, but I was like you. Is this really, can I do this? Am I going to be able to do this? I don't know. I'm going against this guy. Everything I'm reading in the newspaper says he's just going to kick my butt. And, you have like full-on panic attacks before you even know what they are. But the game for me that was like the most, I guess, emotional was the Chandler game.
Which one? Championship?
The championship game, yeah. Because when we got beat the first time we played them, it was like, okay, we got our butts
35-14. Like,
that's just
lost.
a whooping. I can take
whooped,
that. You got whooped. So
I can accept that.
Yeah, I could take that one. You were better than me, but we're gonna see you again. And I just remember that game was so close, and I felt like there were things that could have been a better job done with some of the things that happened during the game. And I just remember being after that game, and I have a picture too, so don't worry, I'm gonna make sure I post that. And it was like we were on the sideline, and I just remember telling you, man, it's like it's nothing you can do. If you laid it all out on the line, if you gave it 100%, and you can walk away and look yourself in the mirror, you didn't lose today.
That's what hurt most about that game for me, was like I felt like I gave it all. Like, I gave everything I had. Like, I was trying my hardest. Like, I gave it all I had. Like, because you might not get a shot at the championship again. Like, I gave it everything I had, and I felt like the defense, we put the offense in a winning situation, and it just didn't happen. And it was just like, man, like,
that's very, very frustrating. I mean, and that's the great thing about team sports, though. You depend on one another. Everybody out there is linked together, and we all are responsible for one another's success. So when you're giving it your all and you come up short, you're thinking like, did I need to do more? Did this person next to me need to do more? What happened that we could not keep this going and finish the mission? So now, a little bit brighter note, coming into your senior year, and now at this point, you've changed your number. You've gone to number 6. You're feeling good about yourself. I feel like you are now becoming your own man, and you're now Deuce. You're not Russell Davis II. Like, I feel like for me, your senior year, especially football-wise, I saw this big bravado, this big showman on the field after sacks and playing to the crowd. So, like, Describe that your senior year. Like, what was going through your head with the whole recruiting and knowing this is your last season, but you still, like I said, you just got that swag. So, like, what was that like your senior year? What was the pressure like? Was it that you keep it under wraps, like you said, and you just performed at a high level, knowing that you were freaking out? So, just like talk about your senior year, because
senior year for me was definitely like. Because my senior, I committed I committed July, so I'd been committed at this point. So there was no pressure of college coaches offer. I knew I wanted to go to U of A. I was like, cool, like I was just having fun. Like I had no pressure of I need to get this many sacks and this many tackles and this many TFLs. I was like, before every game of junior year, I would tell myself I need to get at least one sack this game. Senior year, I'm just like, I'm gonna go out there and play football and just have fun, and that's all it was. I was just having fun. I wasn't, and obviously. All
right. Well, we see the trophy. Let's make sure we got enough room to show it.
Show the trophy. But yeah, I felt like I don't know. I just felt more relaxed and more like just having fun, just doing what I wanted to do, like playing how I want to play. Not really. I didn't feel pressure like I did my junior year. It was just like I said, just having fun.
No, that's good, because I mean that showed when you were playing. Like I would watch you from the sideline, and I'd be like, wow, he's just out there having a great time. And especially the Chandler game. Like I just remember that was one of those games where you embraced that. So to hear you say earlier that you were freaking out that you were playing on ESPN, I'm like, you played on ESPN against Bishop Gorman. You played on pretty much ESPN against Chandler that year. So now that you've done it one time, like, did you even really notice that was going on?
Bishop Gorman, I remembered the whole game that we were on ESPN because we were getting beat the entire game.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty bad.
We came back, though. Best comeback ever in high school history, ever. You look hating. But, the Bishop Gorman game, I remembered I was on ESPN, but I was kind of used to it, and I was like, it doesn't really matter. Like, oh, well, just some cameras. Because most of our games were filmed or on YouTube Live or Facebook Live or something.
See, that's very different from football for me. It was Friday Night Lights. If you were lucky, you'd be the Friday Night Light attraction. So you played on the big stage, and the camera or the news crew was there to present your game, and you're like, well, oh my God, this is so great. 'Cause I remember the first time we had one, that was like ESPN for us. So just real quick, because I want to get to a break here, but just the recruiting process and when you were going through that, because I know what it was like, because it's an entire family. And people don't understand that it's mom, dad, sister, brother, and it takes its toll on everybody. But just kind of talk about that. I mean, obviously, I got
plenty to say about this.
Yeah.
I got plenty to say.
And that's why, we'll come back and start with that.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to The Route. Don't forget to subscribe and connect with us on socials for exclusive updates.